Stan Swamy, the 84-year-old tribal rights activist arrested in the Elgar Parishad case last year, put on a ventilator after his health deteriorates further. As Pushkar Dhami takes oath as the new Uttarakhand Chief Minister, an old tweet haunts him, that of a map of Greater India, which includes large parts of Asia and China, while completely missing out key parts of present-day India. Why is the Modi government silent, not ready for a joint parliamentary committee probe in the Rafale deal, despite the French government ordering one, asks the Congress. A week after the drone attack at an Air Force base in Jammu, the Srinagar administration imposes restrictions on the use, possession and sale of drones. And Delhi unlocks further. Sports complexes to reopen tomorrow. Multiplexes stay shut. This after Delhi reports 94 new COVID-19 cases and 7 deaths in the last 24 hours. Cases below 100 for the 5th day. The cow is a holy animal, but the people who are lynching others in the name of it are going against Hindutva, says the RSS chief, Mohan Bhagwat. Hello and welcome. The big story at this hour. Father Stan Swamy, the octogenarian Jesuit priest who has been jailed under the Stringent Unlawful Activities Act, or UAPA, is on a ventilator right now at the Holy Family Hospital in Mumbai. On Friday, the Bombay High Court had extended the stay of this tribal rights activist in hospital till the 6th of July. The court is expected to hear his bail plea on the 6th. Father Stan had tested positive for COVID-19 on the day he was shifted to hospital from the Taloja prison on the orders of the court. This tribal rights activist, who's 84, suffers from Parkinson's disease. He has been imprisoned in connection with this Elgar Parishad case for over a year now, and prominent civil society members have been calling for his release from prison. Let's go across to Saurav Gupta for more on this. Saurav, ironically, the NIA has been consistently opposing bail for 84-year-old Stan Swamy, saying there wasn't enough evidence of his ill health. And now even the NHRC speaking up on this matter, giving the Maharashtra government a notice.
Well, not just the NSRC, but several other bodies and international as well have now spoken out against his continued incarceration. That has been a matter of debate, given the fact that right from the time that he was sent to prison, many had argued that he was suffering from Parkinson's disease and that it would be inhuman to keep him in prison, and for the time that he is facing trial. Now he's being put under the stringent UAPA, in which bail is difficult. But many had argued that the evidence in the Elgar Parishad case in which he has been booked also is questionable, given that a report from an international agency was also quoted, where it pointed to the fact, it pointed to the assertion that there could have been planting of evidence. So obviously, between all of this, there was also the question of bail for Father Stan Swamy. In fact, the Bombay High Court has ordered him to be moved from the Taloja prison to a private hospital, and he had been moved, and he is on ventilator. And several people have called out his continued incarceration at this age, when he's suffering from so many ailments, age-related ailments. And now it seems that he's on the ventilator. What we've been given to understand, though, that his condition improved slightly in the evening. But obviously, this is a matter of great concern. As many continue to call out, call for his release from prison, given the situation and the condition he's in.
Saurav Gupta reporting. It's a big story. We'll be following this, monitoring Stan Swamy's health through you. Thanks for this update right now. Meanwhile, the Congress on Sunday lashed out at the government's silence over the French investigation into the 59,000 crore Rafale jet deal. The opposition party says that according to documents available now, huge amounts of money were paid to middlemen in the deal, indicating a vindication of the Congress's allegations of corruption against Prime Minister Modi and his government. The controversy over the mega deal resurfaced this weekend, with the Congress seeking a joint parliamentary committee JPC investigation after a news website reported that a French judge had been appointed to lead a highly sensitive judicial probe into the alleged corruption and favoritism in the deal with India. The 2016 deal was for the sale of 36 Dassault-built fighter jets.
रफाल पर कांग्रेस एक बार फिर से मुखर है और हमारे साथ पवन खेड़ा हैं। ये जो फ्रांस में जांच की बात की गई है, आप लोग फिर से उत्साहित हो गए हैं रफाल मुद्दे पर, जब इस पे आप लोग कोर्ट में भी और जनता की अदालत में भी मुक्ति खा चुके हैं।
नंबर एक, हम कोर्ट नहीं गए थे। नंबर दो, उत्साहित होने की बात नहीं होती। जहां देश को नुकसान होता है वहां विपक्ष का और मीडिया का एक काम होता है बाहर आकर प्रखर आवाज में बात करें, उसके बारे में वो आवाज उठाएं, वो मुद्दा उठाएं, उसमें उत्साहित होने की बात।
तो जेपीसी की मांग आप पहले भी कर चुके हैं, लेकिन सरकार ने नहीं माना। अब जब फ्रांस में जांच की बात है तो आपको क्यों लगता है कि वो आधार होना चाहिए और यहाँ पे जांच होनी चाहिए इस बात?
इंटर गवर्नमेंटल एग्रीमेंट, दो देश थे, एक फ्रांस एक हिंदुस्तान। फ्रांस जिसको कि राफेल डील से लाभ हुआ है, आर्थिक लाभ हुआ है और आरोप है कि ज्यादा लाभ हो गया, उसने तो जांच बैठा ली। जिस देश को नुकसान हुआ है, हिंदुस्तान को, उसने जांच नहीं बैठाई। अब ये सवाल तो जायज है या नहीं, आप बताइए।
तो कितने सवाल आपके मन में है? आपने कहा 6 सवाल आपके मन में, क्या क्या वो सवाल है?
हम तो चुनौती दे रहे हैं प्रधानमंत्री जी को, आइए जवाब दीजिए। आपसे नहीं बात करना चाहते, किसी और से करिए। आप हमें बताइए कि 126 विमान खरीदने थे, उनको घटाकर 36 क्यों किया गया? 570 करोड़ रुपए का एक विमान होना था, आपने 1670 करोड़ क्यों खर्च किए उस एक विमान पर? आप ये बताइए कि जो एग्रीमेंट थी उसमें एंटी करप्शन क्लॉज था, जो यूपीए के वक्त भी था, आपके रक्षा मंत्रालय ने भी रखने की चेष्टा की, आपने क्यों हटवा दिया? आप ये बताइए कि जो क्लॉज था जिसमें मिडिलमैन नहीं होने चाहिए थे, वो क्लॉज क्यों हटा दिया? आप यह बताइए कि एचएएल जिसमें 108 विमान हिंदुस्तान में बनने थे, यहाँ रोजगार मिलता, वो आपने क्यों हटा दिया एग्रीमेंट से और आपने एक प्राइवेट पार्टी को ले आए ऑफसेट पार्टनर? ये तमाम सवाल हैं जिसके उत्तर चाहिए।
एक आखिरी सवाल की, राहुल गांधी ने ट्वीट किया है दाढ़ी में जिनका और एक इंस्टाग्राम पे फोटो डाला है। बीजेपी कह रही है कि ये जो है वो एक व्यक्तिगत हमला है और इस तरह का नहीं होना चाहिए।
राफेल डील में जो भ्रष्टाचार हुआ है वह भी व्यक्तिगत है। एक व्यक्ति ने जाकर वह डील की, हम तो उस व्यक्ति से सवाल पूछ रहे हैं, वो ज्यादा गंभीर सवाल हैं। दाढ़ी में फोटो कैसी थी, दाढ़ी में राफेल था या नहीं, ये मायने नहीं रखता। मायने यह रखता है देश को हजारों करोड़ का नुकसान जिस व्यक्ति ने पहुंचाया है, उस व्यक्ति को इन सवालों के जवाब देने चाहिए या नहीं।
तो ये कांग्रेस के सवाल हैं और ये सवाल एक बार फिर से कांग्रेस पूरी ताकत के साथ पूछ रही है। देखना है कि सरकार की तरफ से क्या जवाब आता भी है या नहीं।
And now asserting that the DNA of all Indians is the same, the RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat on Sunday urged Muslims not to get trapped in the cycle of fear that Islam is in danger in India. He also took on those indulging in lynchings, saying they are against Hindutva.
हिंदू कहते कि यहाँ एक भी मुसलमान नहीं रहना चाहिए, तो हिंदू हिंदू नहीं रहेगा। गौ माता पूज्य है, लेकिन लिंचिंग करने वाले ये हिंदुत्व के खिलाफ जा रहे हैं। कानून को अपना काम करना चाहिए, तहकीकात करनी चाहिए ठीक से, बिना पार्शियलिटी किए सबका न्याय करना चाहिए।
And Sanket Upadhyay joins us now. Sanket, where was Mr. Bhagwat speaking and what was the context for these statements?
So this was a book launch function organized by the Muslim Rashtriya Manch and the RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat was speaking there. Now there is, of course, a background to this speech. He had made a similar speech earlier also in the national capital, but he chose this platform again to reiterate the basic principles of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh and was trying to allay some fears in the Muslim community. And he made a couple of important observations. He says if Hindus say that there should be no Muslims, then they are not Hindu, the comment that you just heard. He also said that in a country, discord can never be the solution. Only dialogue is the solution because no community should unite out of fear. Now, these are important statements that he was making. In fact, right at the very beginning of this speech, he said that it should not be construed as if he's trying to appeal or to the Muslim community or, this is some form of a political outreach. He said that the RSS or the Bharatiya Janata Party is not looking at this speech as some sort of a outreach initiative for the sake of votes. He also spoke about lynching, as you just heard. He said those who lynch in the name of a cow are actually anti-Hindu. They're not even Hindu. So these are important comments. It will be interesting to see what the political impact of these comments will be.
It certainly will, and we'll monitor that closely this week. Thanks, Sanket. Meanwhile, a week after a drone attack at an Air Force base in Jammu, the Srinagar administration has imposed restrictions on the use, possession and sale of drones. According to the order, those having drone cameras or other similar unmanned aerial vehicles must now deposit them with the police. And let's just bring you an update on the coronavirus situation. The receding trend of fresh cases continues across India. This as India has reported 43,000 new COVID cases and 955 deaths in the last 24 hours. Delhi, meanwhile, has reported 94 new COVID-19 cases and 7 deaths in the last 24 hours. That makes it the 5th day that Delhi's reported less than 100 cases, and so the national capital has entered the 6th phase of the easing of the COVID lockdown starting tomorrow, that is from Monday. Stadiums and sports complexes will be reopening in the national capital, although spectators will not be allowed. Cinema halls, multiplexes and swimming pools, however, will continue to remain shut. Yet, it is not time to let down one's guard, and 2 main Delhi markets were closed or have been closed till the 6th of July for violating COVID-19 norms.
We are currently in West Delhi's Nangloi area. 2 markets of this area, the Punjabi Basti as well as Janta Market, have been shut down by the administration because COVID appropriate norms were not being followed.
According to the administration, social distancing rules were being flouted by both the public as well as shopkeepers, and nearly 400 shops have been closed till 6 July. To prevent these places from becoming COVID hotspots. But traders feel this is unfair.
चालान कटते हैं जो अभी उसके बीच में 2 चालान हमारे वैसे भी कट चुके हैं दुकान के 2-2 हज़ार के चालान कटते हैं, तो उसमें इतनी भीड़ तो हमारी होती भी नहीं. हमारी 50 गज की दुकान है. 50 गज की दुकान में एक बार बताओ क्या कस्टमर 4-5 भी नहीं खड़े हो सकते, और उसमें पुलिस वाले आके बोलते हैं कि आपकी दुकान के अंदर भी जो स्टाफ है वो भी 4-5 जनों का है. अब बताओ, अब एक जना खड़ा होकर कस्टमर अटेंड करेगा, क्या करेगा? उसके में हम ये जानना चाहते हैं, हम लड़कों की तनख्वाह कैसे देंगे?
While action has been taken on some markets in West and East Delhi, other bigger markets like South Delhi's Sarojini Nagar continue to witness overcrowding and improper masking, a lethal situation in the midst of fears of an impending 3rd wave of COVID. Traders claim they try to ensure rules are followed, but customers on the other hand seem to be unconcerned.
हम लोग कस्टमर को बोल देते हैं जी अगर आप 4 लोग हो 2 लोगों को देखना, 2 लोग देखिए, बाकी लोग दूर थोड़ा खड़े हो जाइए. सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग बना के रखिए. मास्क नहीं लगाते हैं, अगर कोई कस्टमर आया तो उसको बोल देते भाई मास्क लगा के रखो.
रूल स्टिक करेंगे फिर भी मार्केट में आप भीड़ को कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते, जहाँ तक मुझे लगता है. और आपको अनसेफ फील होता है इस तरह से आप शॉपिंग करने आते हैं? होता तो है, बट शॉपिंग भी तो करनी है ना, कैसे करें बताओ.
According to sources in the Delhi Disaster Management Authority, markets like Sarojini Nagar, Kamla Nagar and Sadar Bazaar have already been issued notices last week about overcrowding, and if things don't change, stricter action may follow. From tomorrow, Delhi will unlock further as stadiums and sports complexes will be allowed to reopen but without spectators. So far, they were allowed to open only for holding national and international events and training sports persons for such events. Cinema halls and multiplexes will continue to remain closed in Delhi.
A lot of people think that this is the time to come out before the 3rd wave strikes, but it is scenarios exactly like these that are going to invite the 3rd wave. In New Delhi with camera person Mohammad Mursalin, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
And Pushkar Singh Dhami, who emerged as the dark horse in the chief ministerial race, was sworn in on Sunday, giving preference to youth over experience. The BJP named the 45-year-old as the 11th chief minister of the state, replacing Tirath Singh Rawat, who was in the saddle for just about 4 months. By choosing Dhami, the BJP is trying to strike a balance between two key factors in Uttarakhand politics, the Thakur-Brahmin equation and the Agarwal-Kumaon factor, just months ahead of big elections.
मैं पुष्कर सिंह धामी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि जो विषय उत्तराखंड राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में
The 21-year-old state of Uttarakhand getting its 11th Chief Minister on Sunday. In a ceremony at the Raj Bhavan in Dehradun, two-time MLA from Khatima, Pushkar Singh Dhami, took oath as the Chief Minister along with 11 ministers.
मेरी पार्टी ने जो एक सामान्य से कार्यकर्ता को, जो कि एक सामान्य परिस्थितियों में पिथौरागढ़ के सीमांत जिले में मैं पैदा हुआ, मुझे सेवा का अवसर दिया है। जो भी जनता के जो मुद्दे हैं, उन मुद्दों पर हम लोग जो है लगातार सबका सहयोग लेकर सब लोगों को लेकर काम करेंगे।
The son of a teacher, Dhami started his political career with student politics in Lucknow. He joined the RSS and was the student leader of its youth wing, the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad. With an MA and an LLB degree under his belt, Dhami learned the ropes of politics when he became OSD to Minister Bhagat Singh Koshyari in the first government of the state after the formation of a separate state of Uttarakhand. Since then, he has staked a claim on Koshyari's political legacy. After Koshyari, Pushkar Singh Dhami will be the second chief minister from the BJP who is from Kumaon. At 45, Pushkar Dhami is the youngest chief minister of the state.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने एक नए नौजवान नेता को मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में सर्वसम्मति से चुना है। मुझे आशा है पुष्कर धामी जी के नेतृत्व में भारतीय जनता पार्टी यशस्वी होगी।
While the BJP has made it clear they are targeting the youth of Uttarakhand, more senior state BJP leaders who have been overlooked for the post will now have to work under the leadership of Dhami. With the next assembly elections less than a year away, his challenge is to manage these equations and hit the ground running despite a lack of administrative experience and a short tenure. Even before taking over, the newly elected Uttarakhand Chief Minister landed in a controversy over a map of India he tweeted 6 years ago, a map of a greater India that includes large parts of Asia, including China, while completely missing out key parts of present-day India. Twitter users lost no time in digging out the map and asking if action was taken against Twitter for posting a wrong map of India. What about the new Chief Minister? Ashar Sharma from Dehradun, Sarah Jacob, NDTV. And the fallout of the pandemic and the ensuing lockdowns has been felt far and wide. Here's now one story of a travel agent who's been struggling with a financial crisis during this corona period. From Gurgaon.
Home-cooked food, 110 rupees a plate for passers-by. 40-year-old Abhishek Agarwal stands all afternoon with his placard in hand for hours every day near the Sector 56 roundabout in Gurugram. A travel agent for 13 years in Gurugram, he has no work as the travel industry collapsed during COVID. With elderly parents and a wife to support, he first tried to run a tiffin service, but when that started to fare as offices too shut down, he started selling food on the roadside with the help from an acquaintance who has lent him her car.
COVID की वजह से everything was closed, travel and all, no one was willing to travel. But gradually things opened, but फिर से अभी दोबारा start हो गया.
तो मेरे पास कार थी, then I thought कि ठीक है तुम इस कार को यूज़ कर लो, जैसे यूज़ करना है, इसमें खाना अगर हो सकता है कुछ भी तो ये तुम यूज़ कर सकते हो. तो बस इतनी सी मैंने help की.
Unsure of the future of the travel industry, Abhishek says he will continue selling food on the roadside, even if things improve.
वो मैं करूँगा लेकिन ये नहीं छोड़ूंगा. मतलब मेरे को जो पसंद आता काम है वही करता हूँ. अब मेरे को अच्छा लग रहा है. अब मैं ये नहीं कि मतलब एक वो है, पर मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है इसलिए मैं कर रहा हूँ.
Many have tried to help Abhishek in any way they can.
मैं इनको डेली देखता हूँ. ये अपना बोर्ड जो अपना एडवर्टाइजमेंट जो डेली करते हैं, तो इनको मैं रोज देखता हूँ. तो मैंने देखा यार बड़ा मेहनत कर रहा है बंदा. खाना भाई घर का खाना, तो मैंने कहा यार इनको यहाँ तो कोई रुकता नहीं है, इनको ऐसी पॉइंट बताया जाए जो तरीका से इनका बढ़िया बिजनेस चल जाए. हाँ जी, इसीलिए सर मैं रुका हूँ इनको बताने के लिए. अगर जी हमारा उधर काम भी है और आप कंफर्म अपनी जो खाना वाने का वहाँ अपनी कैंटीन लगाओ.
Abhishek has many local customers now, some daily wage laborers, some in fancy cars, all eating at the same spot, on the roadside. With Mukesh Singh, Joshua Chin for NDTV.